Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how I change bike tires and when they get flat, like I'm out on the road. Thankfully it hasn't happened to me too many times, except for 1 year. Like last year I rode, pretty much 3 days a week from I'd say June until August, and the longest ride was 4 hours, and I think the shortest ride was about 45 minutes or so. And actually I didn't get one flat last year. I thought for sure I'd get quite a few flats being in a more rural area. The roads aren't traveled as much, and I thought there would be more debris, and the road conditions would be kind of rubbly and gravel on the side. But yeah, like I said, I didn't get one flat last year, and the previous time I was training, I was living in Kamloops, BC, and the roads are just terrible there. It's a major artery, like it's across or Trans-Canada Highway there, so it gets lots of traffic, and there's multiple highways joining in. And one ride I got 3 flats, and it was awful. I didn't like riding there at all. So thankfully last year was no flats at all, and hopefully this year is the same way. There's not that many routes that I go right now. Just basically three different directions, and they're pretty much dead end in each way. I mean, I could drive or ride across Canada if I wanted to, but I can only go so far. So yeah, so I'll show you how I change my flats and what to look for, and some things that might be hiding that could keep giving you flats throughout the day. So I'll just take a tire like this, my front tire, off my triathlon bike, and I'll take the stem off, and hopefully the angle that I do this is easy for you guys to see. So I'll just simulate like I'm getting a flat. So I'll just open up the valve here and let out the air. It's pretty much what it sounds like. So there, all the air is out. So I'll take the tire off my bike on the side of the road when I get a flat, and I'll just look for anything obvious, like if I hit who knows, like maybe a chunk of steel, or screws or bolts or glass or whatever. Sometimes they'll cut right through the tire, and luckily I haven't had that happen to me yet. So I'll just look over if I can see anything obvious. Obviously right now I can't, because it's a perfectly good tube and tire. So then I only use 2 tire levers here. They just clip together, so I carry them on my bike. The first one, I always start at the valve stem here. So basically there's 2 ends. I don't use this end at all. I use the end here with the hook here, and I'll slowly pry this tire open just to get the hook under there, and be careful not to hook the inner tube at all. You don't want to put another hole in it by pinching it. So then I'll just slowly work that to one side. Hopefully it works here. Sometimes I gotta work the other way. So what you want to do is pull the lip of the tire over the edge of the rim. This seems to give you problems. This tire's been on here for quite a while. So this is where 2 comes in handy here. So you keep the one under there, keep pressure on it, put the other one in. There we go. And you just slide around the edge of the whole tire, or the whole wheel. You can take this one out. And keep going until the whole edge here is on the outside of the wheel. And you want to do the same to the other side. So we'll start at the valve stem, hook the tire over, and this one's easier now. And there. So the tire's just hanging over the whole outside of the wheel here. And you can take the tire right off. So then this is the tricky part. I had one situation, that ride I was telling you about, where I had 3 flats in one ride, and I didn't know what was causing it. And what I found out is that there's a little piece of wire in the tire is right through and puncturing the inner tube. And I think I got that when I was riding around all the debris. And you know, when you see on the highways when semi trucks blow their tires and they basically explode and pieces of rubber and everything go flying off, and there's little strands of metal or wire in those tires, and I think that's what this tire like this caught. So what I should have done is, when I took the tire off, I should have been careful, man. You don't want to rip your skin open. Turn it inside out and just give it a light feel. Feel the inside of the tire, and if it's sticking through, you'll feel it. It's just like a little tiny wire. So that's what I would do first thing. And if it looks clean inside and there's nothing sticking through, that's good. So then you unscrew the screw from the valve stem here, and you can take the tube right off the tire, or the tube off the wheel here. Just pulls out like that. Okay. And then if it's not obvious, usually it's obvious if there's a hole in it. You can see it. And I always carry on my bike a little patch kit. And they're straightforward. I mean, they've been around for years. If you've been riding bikes as a kid, chances are you probably used 1 or 2 in your lifetime. So yeah, it comes with a little cleaning pad. You just clean the area that has the hole in it. You scuff it up with a little piece of sandpaper that it comes with, and then you glue the patch on, and usually you're good to go. And a way to test is that you open up the valve here, and I like to try and fill this up with air, because sometimes you can hear if there's an additional hole in it. So then you just, if you have enough air pressure in there, you can sort of hear it if you just slide your hands along the tube. So once it's patched up, then you put the valve stem right in there again, and put the tube on so that it's not twisted at all. Like, you don't want it to be twisted like this. It's if you put air in it, it's gonna come out as a bulge on your tire, and it's gonna give you a really rough ride. So there. So put the tube back on the wheel. Line it up in the channel there. Put your screw back on the valve stem here, so that it holds it, attaches it to the wheel. There you go. So now this can be the tricky part, putting the tire back on. Some brands are really bad for having them. You really got to fight. Like, people sometimes use like 3 or 4 of these because it's such a hard job to get. It's so tight. So this brand I use is pretty good. It's not a high quality. It's a heavy tire. It's more for training. I wouldn't use it during races. So yeah, so just make sure that tube stays in the channel there. You don't want it to get pinched. And it's good that there's a little bit of air inside the tire to help, or the tube to help give it some shape, so it's not flopping around on the wheel. So now it's just the same thing in reverse. I always start at the valve stem, and the one side you can start off by hand. You don't need the tire lever. You just want to get the tire on the inside of the wheel. And when you get to the end, as you can see, it gets a little tight here. So this tire is not too bad for that. If it's a warm day, it'll go on a lot easier because the rubber has more stretch to it. There, so we got one side on, and I will need the tire lever for the second side here. So same thing, just use your fingers as far as you can go, that where it gets too hard to use them, that should be coming up pretty quick here. And last part is make sure that, double check to see if your tube's still in the channel there. Because when you use your tire lever for this part here, you don't want to pinch it. Get a little pinch hole in it. Might not need one. There we go, yeah. I didn't have to use this one. That's why I like these tires. So then, I'll just make sure, because one time I just put the tire on and there was a little tiny bulge from the inner tube sticking out, and I didn't see it, and I pumped it up, and I put like 100 psi in this, and that little piece of tube exploded. Like, it was a loud bang. It caught me off guard because I thought everything was secure in here. Yeah, so just go by feel, and you should see it if it is sticking out. So when you're on the road, this is what I have. It's a little hand CO2 pump, and you get these little cartridges, and basically just screws in. I'm not going to screw it in because it'll puncture it. The cartridge will screw in. First of all, make sure this dowel is closed, because if it was open, you just let the CO2 out. Screw it in, make sure it's closed, and then it's going to look like this. And then you just line it up the valve stem, and it's like a one-shot deal. So then you put it on there, make sure it's nice and tight, and then you just open it up, and boom, this thing just fills up with air. Since I don't need to use this right now, I'll just use my traditional bike pump. And the good thing with this, you can regulate, well, I guess the other one, you can regulate how much air comes out of this. Do a little bit at first, just to make sure everything seals tight and that there's nothing, you're not seeing any weird bulges, like if there's a twist in the tube. And then if it looks good, then just release the rest of it, and it fills up. I think 100 or 110 psi will go into these tires. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully I won't have to use this at all this year on the road and do all my wheel and tire changes at home here. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and if I forgot anything, or if you guys have any tips and would like to share them, just put them in the comments, and hopefully hear from you. Thanks.